Did y'all hear Erica Kirk's statement? Charlie Kirk's wife? It got the internet talking right now. She didn't really sound like a widow that's grieving. This shit came off as like a rally speech. He said they won't silence him. But hold up. Who is they? The news and everybody else reported on one shooter. So why does it sound like she's talking about something bigger? Now, I'm not saying it's a psyop. I don't know. All I'm saying is people online is pointing out some crazy shit, like how fast they did the funeral or how fast this statement came out. They also said the tone felt aimed at the movement instead of the family. And that's why people asking these questions. Was this raw emotion or was this a crafted message? Was she speaking as Charlie's wife or was she speaking as a leader in the movement he built? I'm not making no claims. I'm just pointing out what people are noticing. And I'm not gonna lie, it's making me raise my eyebrows like The Rock. So what do y'all think down below in the comments about her speech, about everything, about the funeral, everything? Go listen to it if you haven't listened to it, and then come back and let me know. Do y'all think it's something bigger going on? I need the thoughts down below in the comments.
This one is probably going to be a little bit divisive, but I've seen the video of Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, and her quite bizarre kind of setup for a statement about the loss of her husband. Now, as somebody who's kind of recently lost a very close family member under quite kind of tragic and traumatic circumstances, I can understand how grief is very different for everyone. But what I can't get my head around is that this woman lost her husband a matter of days ago, has 2 young children with him, yet is able to stand, deliver a kind of faultless statement, pre-written statement obviously, with a smile on her face for a lot of it. It looks like crying, but there are no tears. And the weird thing is that it's in a really staged setup with a photo of Donald Trump as the Times Magazine Man of the Year or whatever it was, and 2 MAGA hats. And also, why is she completely in white? Like, again, I know it's grief and people grieve differently. It's so weird to have this, what looks like, it looks like a marketing piece, is the long and short of it. Like, it feels very cold and very sterile and just very, very bizarre for somebody who lost her husband so tragically. Why is one of the first things that she's doing going out and making this statement thanking the likes of JD Vance and Donald Trump? There's so much already that rings weird about this whole situation, and it doesn't add up. And this really adds to it. Am I the only person that's seeing that and is being a bit like, this is odd?
So Erica Kirk just gave a speech about her late husband, Charlie Kirk. But let's be clear, this is not a grieving widow. This is the most dangerous kind of woman, the male-centered woman. She stood up there and she called Charlie the perfect husband, the perfect father, and she promised that his voice, his movement, his mission will live on through her. But what was his mission? Right, inciting hate against minorities, against immigrants, against black people, against queer people, against women, us. She is not just mourning, she is sanctifying a man who spent his entire career demonizing the very communities that he put at risk. She is taking his politics of cruelty and she is trying to baptize them in widow's grief so that they appear holy, untouchable and righteous. And that is the male-centered trap. Women who build their entire identities around a man, no matter how harmful he is, and then become the mouthpiece for his legacy. It's the patriarchy's favorite tool because if she says it, suddenly it looks more soft, more emotional, more justified. But don't get it twisted, because Erica Kirk's battle cry of a widow is not about love or healing. It's about rallying people to continue her husband's hate. And that's why we have to call it what it is: dangerous.
I want to be abundantly clear when I say this. This is not my intention to shame anyone on how they grieve, the grieving process, what they do, what they choose to do, what they choose not to do. Grieving is a beast within itself. I cannot even imagine being married to someone, having 2 kids with them, and then watching them get assassinated in front of me along with the rest of the world. Also, I'm very sick and I apologize. But I just have some questions because I don't think after watching my husband get assassinated in front of my 2 children, which are very, very young, that I would go and then proceed to have a photo shoot with my dead husband's corpse and post it on social media. I don't think that I would create probably one of the cringiest, and I did not watch the whole thing because I actually just genuinely couldn't. It sounded almost senile. But the little that I did watch of her non-blinking, robotic, weird speech that she did, I know that you pay people to tell you to do things and not do things. You should listen to them. And I say that out of, I have personally grieved and I've done things that I wish someone told me don't do. I'm not doing it or saying this because I actually give a fuck about you. I don't. I think that you're going to look back on this and be like, oh my God, why did I not just grieve in peace, or why did my PR team not cover this for me or do something for me? I know that you want to show face as a female, as a strong woman, everything else in between. Let your team handle this. Step away from social media. Respectfully, grieve in peace, deal with your babies. This is a lot. There's a lot of moving parts and it's a long game. Grieving is a long game, baby. So put down social media, please.
Hey, my friends, I just finished watching Charlie Kirk's wife Erica's address to the nation, and I sat here for about 2 hours thinking of what I wanted to say. And I want to start off by saying that address to the nation is going to be one of the most consequential speeches in American history. There are millions of women who will watch that speech tonight and for the coming days and weeks, and they are going to feel that rallying cry to get up and fight for this country. And I think any man with an ounce of testosterone watching that, a woman who's just lost her husband, the father of her children, if you're a man with an ounce of testosterone, you are going to get up and fight for this country as well. You're going to fight for Western civilization, because this is a battle between good and evil. I said it in my last video. This country isn't so much divided by Republicans and Democrats anymore. It's divided by those who love the United States of America and those who seek to destroy it. The next thing I will say is this: as I've been sitting here the last few hours in silence and stillness, there's been this quote that's been stuck in my head. It's actually been stuck in my head for weeks, which is that on the other side of a breakdown is a breakthrough. And this week is a breakthrough moment for this country. I think there are millions of people who have finally woken up to what we are dealing with. There is absolutely nothing I want more than unity in this country, but the last few years have shown us you can't sing Kumbaya and get along and hold hands with people who want you dead simply for having common sense values. Charlie Kirk was the most skilled orator. He's one of the most skilled debaters. He would go to college campuses and he would try to have a dialogue with people, and look what they did to him, those deranged lunatics. He is gone purely for having common sense values. He was a moderate guy going around trying to dialogue with people. At this point, we are going to save our country, whether these deranged folks on the left want it or not. Charlie Kirk's barbaric, disgusting assassination and Erica Kirk's incredible speech tonight, I don't even know how she got up there and did that. Those events will galvanize millions of people moving into the midterms, moving into 2028. These Democrats on the left, you guys have unleashed the Kraken. Good luck. The Democrat Party right now has no identity. The major Democratic leaders like Nancy Pelosi and Jasmine Crockett, they won't even condemn this violence, really. They won't even tone down their rhetoric the last few days. The Democrat Party, all they stand for is open borders, crime on the streets, men and women's sports, the transing of children. Zoran Mamdani in New York wants us to stand in line for bread. We're not having it. We're done. We are going to fight like hell for our country. And I think this week has been that breakthrough watershed moment that will go down in history where people have said, we're done playing nice. We can't play nice anymore. You're either coming with us or get out of our way. The last thing I'll say is this. I see a lot of podcasters, influencers, and young people the last few days auditioning to be the next Charlie Kirk. They're trying to emulate him, which is very flattering. But Charlie Kirk went around to these college campuses telling young people, be yourselves, love the body you were born in, love the way you were created. And I can say this as someone who's never really fit in my whole life, who was kind of a loser until a year or two ago. Find that thing that makes you unique and use that to show up for this country, to get involved in the discourse, in the dialogue, to show up for your friends, to show up for your family. If you have a cell phone and a Wi-Fi connection, you can get involved in this country. But don't try to emulate and be the next Charlie Kirk. Walk in his image and use the values that he would always espouse, but be yourselves. All right, I love you guys. Go be with your friends, go be with your loved ones. And I know I say this in almost all my videos right now and on my podcast, but if you're home alone this weekend, if you're sitting at home alone watching the news, watching your phone, and you see this video, I'm thinking of you, so you are not alone right now. I love all of you. I love this country. Even on America's worst day, I would rather live here than anywhere else. So I love you all. I just want to go sign off and be alone and be still, honestly. But I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, live streamed a message last night, and if that video was anything, it was a further call to war. Now, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it because the visuals and messaging are absolutely fascinating. And just like my video from last night, it's time to clock in and listen up because we're gonna the shit out of this thing. Each emphasis, each moment of emotional expression looked so perfectly calculated, and everything continued to circle back around to promoting and platforming the turning point, the business. She even directs people to their website. She tells them to start chapters wherever they are. She even goes so far as to say that there is absolutely no excuse to not start a chapter if there is not one near you. She also says that the evildoers will pay for what they've done. Here's the thing though, this speech was broadcast live, which means that it was broadcast after Tyler Robinson turned himself in. Now the language around the shooter has been very singular, very solo. We caught the guy. We already know that it looks like Tyler Robinson is aligning with the far right, in particular the GroPo movement. So who are these evildoers to which she's referring? And if you for one second think that she had time to get a full beat hair done, come up with that speech, but didn't keep up with Tyler Robinson's probable affiliations, then you're either on the wrong page or you need to hold onto your hat because you're about to get a crash course in chaos. At first glance, it would be so easy to assume that she's talking about Democrats and the left. That would be the obvious answer. But if you watched my last video, you already know that I don't think she was talking to Democrats and the left. I think she was talking about other factions in the alt-right. I think the reference to evildoers served two distinct functions, and that it carried both a high and low frequency of messaging. The high, the obvious, it calls out to everyone that still believes that Tyler Robinson was radicalized by the left. And after scrolling through literally thousands of comments last night as I was looking at news media coverage videos, it is very clear that there still are an absolute ton of people that believe that he was radicalized by the left. Because of the word fascist used on one of the shell casings, they absolutely cannot wrap their minds around the fact that the phrases used were actually alt-right memes. They only know the word fascist as used as part of a left lexicon. So this high frequency messaging keeps them riled up, especially after MAGA Republicans have had to pivot away from directly accusing Democrats of having done it. The low frequency messaging, other far right factions, because by the time she made this message, it would have already been known that Tyler Robinson's affiliations would be with the far right, not the left. Steph, even if she was talking to other far right factions, wasn't this just the work of one angry shooter? Who put out the fucking book? That's right, it all comes back round again. Who published that biography one day before it actually happened? Who are they? What did they know? What role did they play? People are always talking about the left eating itself, but I want to know, what's happening with the right? So for the last day, the Democrats and the leftists have been online making jokes talking about, so are the white people going to fight back against other white people? Are the right going to fight the right? Yes. The answer is yes. Months ago, I made a video breaking down how Trump was trying to turn the states into a white Christian national state, but that beyond that, a lot of white Christians would eventually be shocked to find out that they are not the right kind of white, nor the right kind of Christian to be considered part of the in-group. The right, the far right, the alt-right, there are factions and they don't like each other. It is well known that Nick Fuentes' Groypers hated Charlie Kirk. They found him too moderate. They didn't find him extreme enough. Him not extreme enough for their liking. But I also think the right is smart enough to know that the range of extremes in and amongst the factions is beneficial for shifting mindsets and carrying out indoctrination on different levels. I said it in my last video and I'll say it again. People think the fight is left versus right, but I think the right sees the left as a nuisance, and that for them at the end of the day, they see the fight as right versus farther right. Whether it's MAGA Republicans or Groypers, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, people that don't think they align necessarily with the Republicans and yet hear certain messaging that they feel, oh, actually, that's not that bad. You know, those little insidious messages that kind of get in there and pull people along further and further the path of right. Sometimes it's just due to religious indoctrination, you know? The fact that someone carries the same religious identity as them makes them blind to the other harmful things that they're doing. And so they will protect that person as a member of the same religious flock rather than calling them out for the actual harm that they do. At the end of the day, all these different people, all these little pieces, they could all have a useful role to play. Think of indoctrination like a sales funnel, you know? Sometimes people pop in at different points in the sales funnel, depending on what they need, what they already know, how they're feeling, and where they are in their life. Erica Kirk's message last night was her selling.
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children.